Hello, my name is Nathan Bassine. Today I'm going to be giving my final project presentation where I developed queries using the synthetic claims database. I tried to create queries that were relative and important in relationship to this class. Um, so before I begin, just wanted to state I consulted the data dictionary throughout writing my queries. I tried to use it to identify common fields and common pieces of data in the tables. Um, You'll see as I go on my presentation where I used the data dictionary. But it is important to know that the data dictionary is important in identifying field definitions, data types, and relationships. So yeah, this is my first query. So for this query, I tried to use the sum function to return the total cost of claims for all beneficiaries. So this is my question right here. What is the total cost of claims for all beneficiaries? Here's a query, the output, and for interpretation, this query gave the sum of the total cost of claims for all beneficiaries. Um, so for this query, I first started with the select clause, which allows you to list all the fields you want to display in the query results. In this case, it was the claims payment amount. This was followed by the from clause, where you list the table or tables that contain the selected fields. Um, So basically in this query, I tried to display the use of the sum function. The sum function adds up all values within a field. So in this case, it was the claim payment amount. Um, yeah, so the sum function is like an aggregation, a total for whatever field you're selecting. As you see in the output, it just shows cost, and this is it's just one value because you're just calculating the sum. And I use the alias cost so it will return just this number as the cost. So for my second query, I tried to use the count function and group by clause to return the number of claims for each provider in the inpatient claims table. So for my question, count the number of claims from each provider in the inpatient claims table. Here's the query, the output, and the interpretation. This query returned the total number of claims for each provider. Yeah, so in this query, I tried to demonstrate the use of the group by clause. When using the group by clause, it identifies fields being used to group the data for aggregation. For this particular query, I grouped the provider number field. This means that for each provider, it will return how many claims are associated with the provider. So here's the provider number. For example, like 100, 0, 100 PQ. This person had one claim associated with them. There's also, for example, 0, 10, 1AV had two claims. So yeah, it just shows the usefulness of the group by function, or group by clause, I mean, sorry. So for my third query, I used the like operator for dates to return the patients discharged in October. So the question was, find all patients that were discharged in October. Here's the query, the output, and for interpretation, from this output, you can see which patients were discharged in October, when they arrived, and details about their provider number. Um, yeah, so for this query, I used the like function with dates. Specifically, I was looking for the characters 1 and 10, 1 and 0 in the fifth and sixth position in the NCH BENE discharge date, which I found in the data dictionary. So the like function will display all data that contains the number 1 and 0 in the fifth and sixth position. So basically, it will return the month of October because 1 and 0 would be 10. October is 10th month, 10th month of the year. Um, yeah, so the query will return all patients discharged in October. As you can see, this is like the beneficiary ID and the claim discharge date. All of these are returning claims from October. So for my next query, I used the like clause to return the number of claims for type 2 diabetes. The question was count the total number of claims for type 2 diabetes in the first two diagnosis codes. So here's the query, here's the output. For interpretation, this query returns the total count for patients with different types of type 2 diabetes. Yeah, so for this query, I tried to display the use of the count function and the like clause. I wanted to return the number of claims for any form of type 2 diabetes. In the synthetic database, the diagnosis code for type 2 diabetes always starts with 250 and can be followed by different characters. So like 250.2, 250.3 all return different forms of type 2 diabetes. Um, so return all claims for diabetes. The like function is necessary as it allows you to perform pattern matching, and in other words, would return all diagnosis codes that start with 250. The percentage sign after 250 means that the query will return all records that start with 250 and can be followed by anything else. I used the count function to add up all these values. So in my output, I only got 59, just one single value. So there's 59 claims for type 2 diabetes. So for my next query, I tried to show the use of the halving clause to list all beneficiaries with over 100 prescription claims. Um, so the question was, show the list of all beneficiaries with more than 100 prescription claims. So here's the query, here's the output. For interpretation, this query demonstrated the use of the halving clause to return the output of beneficiaries with more than 100 prescription claims. So yeah, for this query, I try to demonstrate the use of the halving clause. The halving clause is similar to the where clause, but with the halving clause, the conditions in the halving clause compare the outputs of aggregation operators rather than fields and records. So and I also did order by descending. So started with the highest prescription count of 182, and it goes down. In the actual output, this is just a screenshot, so I just took the first five, but this would go down even farther. Um, yeah, so for the next query, I tried to show using joins to find beneficiaries with at least one inpatient and outpatient claim. So the question was find all the beneficiaries who have at least one inpatient claim and one outpatient claim. So here's the query, the output, and for interpretation, this query returns the beneficiaries who have at least one inpatient claim and one outpatient claim. So yeah, for this query, I tried to demonstrate the use of an inner join. Joins are used to connect different tables by a related column between them. I joined the two tables of inpatient claims and outpatient claims through the common column of HCIN-543 ID, which is basically the beneficiary ID. Um, yeah, this type of join will return the intersection of records from the two tables. So see in the query, I joined it with the inner join with the common column of HCIN-543 ID. Then for the output, these are all patients or all beneficiaries who've had at least one inpatient claim and one outpatient claim. So this list went farther down, but I just took a screenshot of the first five again. So for the next query, I tried to show the use of the between operator to calculate how many claims were between 2010 and 2023. So my question was, how many claims were between 2010 and 2023? Here's the query, the output. Interpretation, this query returns the total number of claims between 2010 and 2023. Yeah, this query demonstrates the use of the between operator to see the total number of claims that occurred between 2010 and 2023. The between operator is used to select information that is within a range. In this case, I want to return the total number of claims between 2010 and 2023. So I selected for between, I put the first date as 2010-0101, which is the first day of 2010. And then I went to the last day of 2023, which is December 31st. Yeah, so the between clause is very useful in specifying a range. And I also use the count function to count the total number of claims and the alias of claims. So my output was just claims 191. So in this query, I tried to use a join with an average function and group by clause to calculate average claim cost per customer in each state. So the question was identify the range or identify the average claim cost per customer in each state. Here's the query, here's the output and interpretation of this query gives the average cost for claims for each state. So yeah, this query demonstrates the use of the average function as well as the join function. It shows the average cost of claims by state. It joins both the inpatient claims table and the beneficiary summary table. The join function is necessary because the information needs to be allocated from multiple locations. So just like with the other join, it joins with the common column of the HCIN-543 ID, and then group by state code. So each of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 represents a state, and that was from the beneficiary summary table. And then I use the alias average cost. So all these values represent the average cost for claims for each state. And obviously, it will return up to all the states. Like it'll keep going down, but I just took a screenshot of again the first 5. So for this next query, I used join sum function, order by clause, group by clause all to display the top 3 states with the highest claim cost. So the question is, what are the top 3 states with the highest claim cost? Here's the query, the output. So for interpretation, this query returns the top 3 states with the highest claim cost. Yeah, so in this query, I use the inner join as well as the group by and order by clause. To get the 3 states with the highest claim cost, I joined the inpatient claims table with the beneficiary summary table. The intersected column between the 2 tables is the HCIN-543 ID. I grouped by state code in order to return one single value for each state. The order by clause was necessary to display the claim cost in descending order. I set the limit as 3, so only the top 3 states would be returned. Yeah, it's as you see here, I use the alias cost to be returned. So this is the top 3 states with the highest claim cost in descending order. Yeah, I did the order by cost ascending. So highest one is 745,300, and it goes down. So finally, for my last code or my last query, I did it on individuals who had outpatient claim but no inpatient claim using left join. So the question was, show me all individuals who have had an outpatient claim but not an inpatient claim. Here's the query, the output, and the interpretation. So for interpretation, this query returns individuals who had an outpatient claim but no inpatient claim. So the left join command, it returns all rows from the left table and the matching rows from the right table. In this case, the result is null from the right side. Yeah, so in SQL, null is used to indicate that a value does not exist in the database. So basically, it's returning values where an individual had an outpatient claim, but then the inpatient claim is null, so it doesn't have a inpatient claim. Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's it for my presentation. Yeah.